The richest person you met this week, they probably looked completely broke. I know, it sounds crazy, but think about that for a second. There's this strange, almost totally backward pattern among people who quietly build wealth. And once you see it, it's going to completely shatter those standard assumptions we make every single day.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a random parking lot. You see a guy climbing out of a beat-up 10-year-old Honda, wearing a faded gas station t-shirt. Right next to him, someone is stepping out of a brand-new, gleaming luxury SUV. Naturally, our brains immediately tell us the SUV driver is the winner in life, right? But the reality? That guy in the faded t-shirt might actually be worth more than everyone else in the parking lot combined. Meanwhile, the person in the new SUV, well, they could be just a few missed payments away from losing the whole shebang. We've been trained to recognize expensive lifestyles, not actual wealth. And as we'll see, that is a really expensive mistake to make.
Here is where almost everyone gets fooled. We tend to think that spending money and having money are the exact same skill. Newsflash, they're absolutely not. In reality, they're almost complete opposites. You can easily pull in 6 figures and spend every single dime of it just trying to look successful to the outside world. Or, on the flip side, you can earn a totally average income, quietly invest it for decades, and become completely financially independent. Looking rich and becoming rich are competing goals. And the folks who figure this out early, they're the ones who win the game.
Let's look at the actual math behind that shiny vehicle. Take that luxury SUV we just talked about. A $70,000 vehicle financed over 6 years isn't a symbol of wealth at all. It's an absolute burden. Think about it. It represents a heavy monthly payment, much higher insurance premiums, and super expensive maintenance. And worst of all, it's an asset that is literally losing value every single day. The second those tires roll off the dealership lot, it starts getting cheaper, while the owner is stuck making those exact same high payments.
That leads to this really wild realization. When you see someone living that heavily financed lifestyle, they are not showing you their bank account. They are showing you their debt schedule. It's just an illusion of visible debt, cleverly disguised as success.
Let's contrast where the money actually goes. For the SUV driver, cash is flowing straight outward, to dealership payments, bank interest, and into a depreciating asset. But compare that with the older Honda parked right beside it. That Honda is totally paid off. The insurance is rock bottom, maintenance is predictable, and there's no massive monthly payment quietly draining hundreds of dollars away. But here's the kicker. That lack of a car payment isn't a lack of money. That is money being strategically redirected somewhere you can't see. It's going into index funds, retirement accounts, maybe even a down payment on an income-producing property. One lifestyle creates expenses, the other creates absolute opportunities.
This brings us to a core mindset of the self-made millionaire. A lot of them don't drive luxury cars. And it's not because they can't afford them, but because they deeply understand a rule most people never grasp. Every single dollar has a job. It can either impress strangers today, or it can make you richer tomorrow. It absolutely cannot do both.
Let's put a real number on that opportunity cost. $700. Imagine someone dropping $700 every single month on a fancy car payment. Now I want you to imagine taking that exact same amount and investing it consistently for decades instead. Thanks to the absolute magic of long-term compounding, that $700 a month doesn't just grow, it explodes into hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's kind of crazy when you realize the car just gets older and rustier every year, while the investment quietly gets stronger and stronger. So, the crucial point is, what catches almost everyone off guard? It's a really subtle trap called lifestyle inflation. Basically, it's the trap where your expenses rise in lockstep with your income, which actively prevents you from accumulating any actual wealth. Let's walk through exactly how this frustrating cycle works. Step 1, your income rises. You get a sweet raise, or maybe a better job. Step 2, you immediately upgrade. You get a bigger house, a newer car, more expensive clothes, maybe start taking luxury vacations. And step 3, your expenses have now risen to completely match your new income. So despite earning way more money than ever before, you never actually become wealthier. You just get stuck running faster on the exact same treadmill, becoming really good at looking wealthy. Real wealth is built by widening the gap between what you earn and what you spent, and then putting that gap to work.
The reason nobody talks about this is because we naturally assume visible spending equals financial success. I mean, it's literally the only information our brains have to go on. Nobody walks around with their investment portfolio printed on a t-shirt, right? So we judge people by the easiest, most flawed signals. The watch, the shoes, the car, the neighborhood, those perfectly curated vacation photos on social media. But almost none of those things tell you if someone is actually financially free. They only tell you what someone decided to spend their money on.
Which leads to this beautiful, almost poetic irony. Actual wealth is designed to be completely invisible. It is inherently unflashy. It is meant to be totally hidden from view. And this brilliantly illustrates the anatomy of real wealth. Think about it. Stocks don't announce themselves. Index funds don't make noise. Rental properties don't show up in your friend's feed. Business ownership doesn't come plastered with flashy designer logos. And compound interest? It works completely quietly. It grinds away working for you month after month, year after year, entirely out of sight, while everyone else is just busy trying to look successful. It all boils down to this incredibly powerful truth. Wealth whispers. Debt is loud.
If you flip the question around and ask what someone who is truly building wealth actually needs, the answer is surprisingly little. A reliable place to live, reliable transportation, and the ability to keep investing. After that, they really aren't obsessed with owning expensive possessions. They are obsessed with ownership. Their extra dollars have one single mission: go to work. They buy productive assets, they own businesses, they buy shares of companies, they scoop up real estate. They want to create income that keeps arriving long after the work is done. It's about ownership, not possessions.
This is exactly why the wealthiest person in the room is often impossible to identify. They have completely stopped trying to impress strangers who don't even pay their bills. Instead, they focus on building a future those same strangers can't even see. Most people buy expensive things hoping strangers think they're successful. Wealthy people buy assets hoping strangers never even notice them. Simply put, looking rich costs money, but being rich makes money.
So we need to make a mental shift here. You have to stop measuring financial success by appearances, both for other people and especially for yourself. The next time you're looking at a neighbor's carefully curated lifestyle and you start to feel a little left behind, I want you to remember this simple truth. You are looking at their spending. You are not looking at their balance sheet. And let me tell you, those are almost never the same story.
The very next time you're about to buy something, mainly because it makes you look successful, I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I buying an asset? Or am I literally just buying a costume to play the part? It sounds a little absurd when you frame it like that, but honestly, it's exactly what's happening.
The stakes of that simple question are incredibly high. Because decision A, buying the costume, earns you applause for a fleeting moment. But decision B, buying the asset, earns you freedom for a lifetime. One person spends money to impress strangers for a few seconds, while another quietly buys assets that will pay them for decades. If you look at them today, they might look exactly the same. But 10 years from now? No way. They absolutely won't.
The real flex was never the shiny car in the driveway. It was always the portfolio nobody sees, compounding quietly in the background. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. When your next paycheck arrives, are you going to buy another piece of a costume? Or are you going to buy a piece of your freedom? Keep building that invisible wealth, and we'll see you in the next explainer.